Hey, it's your man, Doc Love, aka the Breakup Coach, your relationship speaker, and your relationship education advocate, back with the Why Is This So Challenging podcast. So first and foremost, we like to start this podcast off by first introducing my lovely and wonderful co-host and also my beautiful wife, Miss Lady Love. How are you doing today, Miss Lady Love?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. As always, thank you for all of the support that you're giving, all of the ways that you show us love. You're supporting our shorts in a tremendous way, and we really appreciate it. And you're also supporting our podcast. And we just ask that you continue to support us. We're going to continue to bring you content that we believe is going to really help you when it comes to relationship and love. We also want to encourage people that are interested in just wanting to have community where they can talk about their relationship issues, where they can talk about the things that they're going through and get some help and guidance and support. That we are trying to build this community, and we want to make sure that people come here so we can start that and just get that going, so we can make sure that we're pouring into you the things that you need so you can have the relationships that you desire. So we want you to keep coming, and we want this thing to start a community so we can start having the relationships we desire. So on today's episode, Miss Lady Love is going to get into it. We're going to talk about control when it comes to relationships. And this is going to get deep and might even get a little testy at times, because this is something I don't think we think a lot about, but it is really, really a big factor. I even consider it one of my big 3 factors when it comes to relationships not working out. So Miss Lady Love, if you would just go ahead and introduce this to us, and let's get into it.
Okay, well, yes, we're going to talk about control, and specifically controlling personalities, which can be barriers for people getting into healthy or harmonious relationships. Yeah. When we say healthy, that word is something that you have to define what is healthy to you, but we know what is unhealthy are things that don't make you feel all that great whenever you're feeling like you're being controlled. That is going to be a huge sticking point that can actually lead to a relationship not moving forward, or a relationship being very miserable.
Exactly.
Because controlling personalities are something that we really develop in childhood. And we can kind of touch on that
let's touch
right
on
now when we're talking about having control tendencies or controlling personalities.
Right.
And the first thing that I think about is, as a child, at a very young age, if a child is playing with a toy and another child comes and takes that toy from said child, then usually that other child is probably going to operate in a way where they're going to throw a tantrum, or they're going to be upset or angry or sad or disappointed if that other child takes that toy from them. But what you'll notice, me having been in early childhood development, is that the next time that child may actually hoard the next gift that they have.
Wow.
Because they have learned that someone can take their toy. So as a mechanism to control the circumstance of the situation, that child's innate hardwired response is, in order for me to protect my toy, in order for me to protect my environment and my surroundings, then I have to control this situation. So either they can control the situation by hoarding a toy. Sometimes they may try to control the situation by fighting back with another child coming to them. So I want to kind of normalize the fact that having a controlling personality, or being a controlling person in your relationship, specifically we're talking about your marital or your romantic relational relationships, but this can show up in all relationships.
Exactly.
It's just a human behavior of being unregulated and not knowing how to handle a situation where you're in fear, or your feeling is if you're going to lose your power and your control. So in turn, to protect yourself, or as a defense mechanism, you'll see that people have those controlling personalities because they're basically trying to protect their space. But this is going to lead to relationships that are not what we're going to desire moving forward.
Exactly. So now I have a question for you, because you often ask me questions. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So we have situations where you may have, let's say, a young lady that's like, hey, I don't want to be in a relationship where somebody's controlling me.
Right.
But at the same time, they might say something like, but I want somebody that's a leader. I want somebody that's going to take control. How is it that this person will be able to say that they could be in a relationship with someone that I want to be a leader, I want them to take control, take command, but also at the same time, they don't want this person to control them or control all of their movements and things of that nature?
Right.
How does that work out?
I feel like a lot of times when people say that, what they're saying is, I want to receive the benefits of someone controlling certain circumstances, but I don't want that person to control the situations that I want to control. So it's basically choosing what you want that person to control so that you can still have that sense of control in your life. And to be 100% transparent, I've experienced this in relationship myself because coming from my childhood, when you're dealing with things like domestic violence or domestic abuse in the home, you do want to establish a sense of control.
Right.
So there have been times in my life that I have tried to establish a sense of control, not in that way per se, but in ways where I'm trying to protect myself. But what it does when you tell another person, you specifically were talking about like a woman who doesn't want to be controlled or told to do certain things or asked to do certain things, because we're grown now. We get to make decisions and choices. Nobody gets to tell us what to do. I believe in a relationship where you can communicate and you can talk and you can express yourself in a healthy way. But what it does is it leaves that other partner, let's say that man, feeling as if I'm being used in a way. Like I'm good enough for my so-called leadership to lead you in the ways that you want me to lead you. Like, oh, I can be the man when it comes to like paying the bills, or I can be the man when it comes to making decisions you don't want to have to make. But then when it comes to me giving you advice, when it comes to if I see that you're doing something that may be harmful to you, maybe you're overworking yourself on your job, and your mate comes to you and say, hey, maybe you need to kind of scale back a little bit because I noticed that you are, no, I got it. I know, I don't need you to interfere. Things like that. That can lead the other partner into feeling like it is not a situation where you really want a leader. You just want me to take over the things you don't want to deal with. Wow. And I always say, put yourself in the other person's position.
Right.
If we're talking about a woman to a man, but let's just say if the shoe is on the other foot and that man is okay with listening to his wife when it comes to one thing, but when it comes to another thing, oh, I don't want to hear what she has to say. So I always feel as if the best course of action when you're having that struggle or that dynamic going on is to just try to think about putting yourself in that other person's shoes. Because whenever things are not on a reciprocal plane, another person is going to feel either used or taken advantage of.
Right. And to me, I know control is definitely a very big thing. I've experienced having to be in situations and relationships where I know that, at least personally for me, I'm not a controlling person. I don't want to control or dominate anybody. I want it to be a situation where we get along. So there's no need for there to be control. But by the same token, I've been in relationships where there was that mechanism of someone wanting to try to control me or make me do what they want. And so I know what that feels like. And I think about it this way. There's two ways that control can show up in a relationship. One way, of course, is if someone feels like I want to make sure that I'm not in a relationship where I'm being controlled. So I want to control at least enough of that relationship, if not all of it, to where I know that nobody's controlling me. But like you said, there's also the other way where you have somebody with a controlling personality. And that's just what they're used to. They want to have full control, or at least so much control of the relationship that they feel like it steers my way. And so for me personally, it's about trying to strike somewhere in the middle where you have a situation where there's some semblance of balance or some semblance of a evening out, where there is going to always be a situation where someone is going to have to take control or leadership in certain situations. And even if you look at the paradigms from the past, where they would say, oh, the man would go out and work and the woman stays home and take care of the home. Well, that's actually striking a balance.
Right.
In, hey, the home is mainly controlled by the woman, and hey, the environment of making money is controlled by the man. But it's understanding, how do we get to a point where we're getting that balance? Because we know that control is bad. We know either way it is, being controlled or controlling someone else is not going to be a positive outcome for the relationship.
Right. And it's just showing that you're hitting a pain point. If someone starts controlling or being controlling or showing those tendencies of being a very controlling person, you already know that there's a pain point there. And the biggest thing is, are we willing to move through the pain point?
Yes.
Because there is a way to move through pain points of having controlling personalities and displaying controlling behavior. Because the same way that you can respond in that way to defend yourself or to protect yourself, you can change your perspective about it. Mel Robbins, I really like her. She has a book called Let Them. And basically what it's showing is, instead of trying to control situations and you're going through turmoil within yourself, let people be. Exactly. The same way you want to be who you are, and you want people to accept you for who you are and to not try to control you or maneuver you, you have to let people be.
Right.
And that may feel uncomfortable. We're so used to, as a society, being people pleasers and wanting to control the emotions of other people. We were having a conversation, and we talked about this in another podcast episode, actually one of the first ones. And we were talking about how when a person does not want a person to see them in a negative light, they can become very defensive if they feel as if that person sees something not desirous in them. But we're not perfect.
Right, exactly.
There's gonna be a time that your mate does not like something that you do. And so a lot of times that's how arguments keep going around in a circle. It's like you're trying to prove that I didn't do the thing, but I actually did do the thing. And we've had that, especially at the beginning of our marriage. And that was coming from me. Like, I'm now a recovering people pleaser. Like, I am okay with saying, yes, sometimes I get spicy. Yes, sometimes I, whatever, fill in the blank. Like, whatever negative thing, there's a possibility that I'm working through that. Right. And the moment, and we're talking about this earlier, the moment you can acknowledge that.
Exactly.
Then now you don't have to fight so hard to prove that I'm not bad. That I'm good, that I'm a good person. You don't have to fight so hard to defend yourself when you go ahead and lean into, I am growing, I am evolving, I am becoming a better version of myself every day.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem is we know that we're in a situation where somebody is trying to control, but we're fighting it. So it's like, now it becomes a fight. Who wins?
Right.
And to me, that leads to a destructive and a toxic relationship. If you know that, hey, this is not something that works for me, being controlled, or this person's level of control is far greater than what I want to relinquish, then we have to be honest with ourselves and say, hey, it's not going to be worth the fight. Right. Because at the end of the day, like you said, if that's their personality, that's just their personality. That's who they are. So me trying to fight against that, or trying to win so that I could prove how strong I am, it's a losing battle. So let's just say you win. Okay, but what did you win? You still with somebody that every chance they get, they're going to try to get back at you because they want to be in control again.
Right.
So it's understanding that, okay, we know that this happens, but how do we prevent people or get people from understanding that if you know that you don't want to control the relationship, because we've seen that in a lot of relationships. Even men can be like, I don't want to be in a situation where I have to make every decision,
right?
Where I have to do everything. And that person sits back and they just enjoy the fruits of this relationship without having to really contribute much.
Or they get to criticize the wrong moves in the relationship.
Go ahead.
Let's just be honest. A marriage or a relationship that is one that can continuously build is one where we can collaborate.
All right.
If you get married, one of the beauties of being married is that you have a confidant.
Yes.
What good am I if I'm just here to take orders, or I'm just here to follow the program? There's times when I have wisdom that I can impart to you, because what person knows you deeper than me?
Right.
About your dreams, your goals, your fears.
Right.
The things that you desire or that we desire in our life. I truly believe in collaboration in marriage.
Yeah.
And I believe that we should submit to each other. It's not a situation where one person should just submit to whatever the person wants to do. And that's even in the sense of happy wife, happy life. That kind of cringed me when I heard it, because I'm like, that for some people works. That statement is life for them. But for me, I do not attest to that, because happy spouse, happy house.
Right.
To me, we both are feeding off of each other. And what makes me happy is us being happy, us being whole, us feeling heard, you feeling heard as well as myself. Because one thing that we do as human beings is we mirror and we reciprocate. Sometimes if I notice that Doc Love may be a little agitated or snarky, I may ask, like, are we good? Like, did I say something or did I do something that could have rubbed you the wrong way? Because a lot of times, think about it, unless you've been in a mood because of something that has happened outside of your home, or work, or just you're in your head, or whatever the case may be, a lot of times a person is acting out. And then that kind of goes back into the childhood thing, the inner childhood thing. You don't realize that maybe you said something a certain kind of way, or you did something a certain kind of way, or you disregarded your mate. But maybe they don't disregard you in that way, but you disregarded them, and then they're kind of in a funky mood. And so sometimes of asking that person can think about it and be like, you know what? Actually, no. I'm just in my head today. Or if it was, then it's like, well, you know what? I did feel like a certain kind of way about how you answered me. Like, that seemed kind of, are you okay? You know what I'm saying? But you see how that's different than I'm going to control you. That's different than we're going to set this up this way so that I'm happy, whether you happy or not. That to me does not constitute the type of relationship that I would want us to have, because I understand that you can so-called make somebody happy in the moment, but those things calculate, and that's where resentment comes in, and that's where a person starts saying, you always do this, or you always do that, or I'm always doing this and you never do that. When that person starts saying things like that in disagreement and arguments, it becomes about the character of that person. Then these are calculated situations where one person was wanting to get what they want and didn't care about the other person at least getting a portion of what they want, or coming to the middle in that relationship or that situation.
So I know, like you said, that's one solution, is having a collaborative relationship. That's how you kind of combat control. Because like I said, we're about solutions.
Yes.
But another thing I want to introduce that could be a possible solution is that we compensate for where the other is short. I think sometimes when we say, hey, I want a relationship where someone controls everything, like you said, it puts a lot of pressure on one person, and that person doesn't feel like in places where they may fall short, there's some compensation for what it is that I'm not able to do. As it is, we just had a situation yesterday. You're trying to put something together. Well, things that got really busy, you fell behind.
Yeah.
What if you didn't have a mate in me that was willing to compensate and do the things that you weren't able to do to make sure everything gets done?
Right.
We could say, oh, I want somebody to do all the things, but they also need somebody to kind of step in and do what they need.
Right.
And I think at times when we talk about control, that's what it is. It's like, okay, well, that person is stepping in and doing things when I don't want them to.
Right.
Or then they're not doing the things I want them to do. And so now we're trying to control how they move and when they move, but understanding and allowing somebody to compensate where needed instead of it being forced upon them.
Right.
Or them feeling like I have to do this or I have to do that.
Right.
So I think compensation is another thing that leads to more of a balanced relationship,
Yeah.
which takes away that element of control. Because I think ultimately, and I don't want to say balance because let me clarify this. Balance does not mean 50-50. There's going to always be situations where one person is going to have to do more than the other.
Right.
That's just life.
Right.
But I know that when I do need my person to do the things that they can do to help compensate for where I'm short, I feel confident they're going to step up and do that.
Right.
And that's oftentimes when you think about relationships is where things go wrong. It's like, I don't have that compliment, that person that's going to compensate for when I fall short. So seeking somebody that is someone that will compensate for where you do fall short, or just the things that you just don't want to do, or you think that they're better at doing it than you are better at doing it.
Right.
I think that's another definite solution of how we can get this control thing under control.
I love that. And I'll say the third thing is the connection that you have. I feel like if you have a deeper connection with your mate and your spouse, you're able to communicate your feelings in a safe space, and you're able to understand and care what each other need from each other.
Exactly.
Then I feel like when you have that deeper connection with each other, then that will lead to you caring enough.
Right.
Like, for instance, and this is something minor, but the other day we've made like a huge transition, and there were some things that I needed moved. And and I know that we were walking and we were talking, and I just was asking my honey if he could move these things. And he just was like, see, you didn't tell me to do it. Like, you didn't browbeat me like, when are you going to do blah, blah, blah? Or I need this done. When are you going to do it? What time you going to do it? Is it going to be done? Blah, blah, blah. Like, basically, he was complimenting me on saying that a kind ask can get so much more out of you.
A very feminine, soft way
soft
of
ask.
asking me. It was like, oh, okay, I know I need to do that then. I mean, but that is it. Like you said, connection is having a connection to where you want to do that. You want to compensate for what needs to be compensated for.
Right.
And like you said, when that connection is not there, then they don't want to compensate.
Right, because that temperature or that environment could have been totally different if I would have said, you know what, you know that I need such and such done.
Right.
And when is it going to be done? Versus, hey, babe, I had that stuff over there. Can you do that? You know what I'm saying? Something that simple that is accumulating in your relationship.
Exactly.
The way you talk to each other, the way that you respect each other, the way that you love each other, the way that you fight each other. Because like we've had other conversations about everything is not roses. Everything is not peachy all the time. But even in your arguments, are you tearing each other down by your character, or are you talking about the issues? And those things can make you upset, make you mad, make you disappointed, have you feeling all types of ways. But it's not about the fact that you're going through these different emotions. It's about the deeper connection with the person. Because if I didn't have a deep enough connection with Doc Love and he didn't have a deep enough connection with me, then we could be talking to each other real sideways. And all of that is going to accumulate.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it's going to lead to resentment. Eventually, it's going to lead to a whole bunch of other things, which, mind you, relationships can get through. Having a relationship or marriage is just you sharing your life with someone else, which is great, which is a big deal, but it's also life. Mm-hmm. If you didn't have this partner with you, you would be going through life with yourself.
Yeah.
And on the outside, you would have your friends and your family and all that. But the thing is, the same way that you want to have a life where you love yourself, you accept yourself, you're not living in all of this judgment and criticism with yourself and hatred of yourself and not treating yourself well. You don't want that in your relationship.
Right.
You don't want that in your marriage.
Right.
So the same work that you would do within for yourself, you can do that same work with someone else.
Oh, yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
You know?
So it's interesting because I think it comes down to the 3 C's.
Yeah.
And I think this is a solution for control, which is actually another C. But as you talked about, it's about collaboration. Mm-hmm. First of all, working together, collaborating, having someone that you can collaborate with. That's the most important thing.
Yes.
Is if you can't collaborate with this person, if they feel like it's all on you or it should be all on them, what have you, that's not collaborative. They talk about leaders, like you said. You want someone to lead you, but you don't want them to always lead everything. Right. So it's about establishing collaboration.
Right.
Then compensation, knowing and understanding that there are going to be times when we're collaborating, I may have to do a little bit more to compensate for what's not being done on this end, or that vice versa. So we understand that there must be compensation through our collaboration. And then, of course, communication, because really that communication has to be there to allow us to understand how and when to say, hey, I need a little bit more collaboration here, or I need a little bit more compensation here, and communicating that in a way where we know that's going to be effective is going to make the connection that we want to have.
Absolutely.
To create that connection. And that will eliminate the control or the need to control. And if you're doing these things, you're saying, hey, I want to collaborate. I want us to compensate and help each other out. I want to communicate in a way that's effective. Yes. And that person is still trying to control that relationship. What else can you do but say, hey, this may not be the relationship for me. Exactly. So that's a very important thing.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love it. Love those 3 points.
The 3 C's.
The 3 C's that leads to connection.
Exactly.
Which is what we talk about in our ebook.
Yeah, connection over control.
Connection over control.
And that, like you said, in the ebook, those are the things that are discussed so that you can ask those questions that get you in that collaborative effort. Think about it. To do this ebook is to collaborate with the person that you're with.
Yes.
This is a collaboration. You're asking the questions. Now, there may be a situation where you're not in a relationship, and that's a good time to have this ebook as well, because you can learn the questions that you need to ask so that when you get in that position, now you know we're asking the questions that's important so that we can build a collaborative relationship, not one that's built on control, not one that's built on you dominating me or me fighting you and I got to control enough of you so that you don't dominate me. Either one of those situations is not a wonderful place to be when it comes to a relationship. And our ebook is important to help you with that.
Yes, the Relationship Reset, which we link in our videos.
Yes.
So all you have to do is go click that link and you can go ahead and download that ebook and it will come to you immediately. You can go ahead whether you're single, in a relationship, just got married or married. You're always growing.
Yes.
You're always learning. We have so many pillow talk conversations.
Exactly.
I learn so much about you and from you each and every day.
Right.
There's never a time, I truly believe, that even for yourself or for your mate, that you're like, oh, I've learned everything I need to know. Because we're always growing. We're always evolving.
Yeah.
And one thing I did want to point out when we're talking about control is if you continue to be in a relationship where a person is very controlling, has a very controlling behavior, or that is a barrier that you all have, you really are not showing self-love to yourself.
Yes.
If you allow yourself to continue to be controlled.
Yes.
Because you first are for you.
Yes.
Your first person is
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
And when you're feeling as if you don't have a voice, when you're feeling as if you're only good for what you do that somebody tells you to do,
Right.
versus you being able to be heard and seen for yourself, then that is a problem.
Yes.
And so I do want to, in fact, let you know that that is abusive.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's very abusive for you to be in a controlling situation where you feel as if you do not matter. That
Exactly.
another person and what they want you to do, how they want you to do it, is not normal.
Yes.
So let's make that clear.
Right. And that is for a male or a female. If you're a man and you're in a relationship where that woman feels like the only way to do it is her way, or the best way to do it is her way, then that's not positive either. I understand controlling oftentimes is the man controlling the woman, but there are a lot of relationships where the woman controls the man.
Right.
So that's not a positive situation to be in either. So I definitely appreciate that. And one other thing I want to bring up too is if you feel like you need to be controlled,
Right.
if you feel like I need to have somebody control me, that's not a good thing. And I know that can be kind of deep because some people are like, oh, I need somebody that can handle me.
Right.
Why do you need somebody that can handle you? As we pointed out, the keys are being able to be in a situation where we complement each other and we can compensate for each other. It's about a relationship where it's about collaboration, not being controlled or someone having to dominate someone. So just that in itself is saying, okay, if this person needs to control or handle me, well, what am I going to give to that person? If they're doing all they can to sit up here, just get me under control,
Right.
what am I doing that's going to be beneficial to them?
Right.
So even wanting a relationship where you're being controlled, where you want to be controlled, that's not a positive situation or relationship to be in. It's about us coming together and bringing enough to this situation to where we're both happy and we both can complement each other. We can compensate, we can collaborate together, and we can connect like we're supposed to.
Absolutely.
So again, we thank you for joining us for another Power Pack show. We hope that you learned a lot from this. We hope that you gained a lot from it. If you did, please leave comments, subscribe to our channels. We do have several channels. We have our shorts as well as our podcast. So definitely subscribe to everything we have going on and just let us know that we're helping you or that is beneficial, or even if you don't like it, if you don't agree, let us know. And anything that you want us to talk about, definitely let us know, because we're here to serve you. Because at the end of the day, we know that it's about you being able to have the relationship you desire.
Yes.
Definitely. So for myself, Doc Love, this is Lady Love. We are the Why Is This So Challenging podcast, and we are out of here. See you all later.
Peace.